Hey guys, it's Derek. I wanted to shoot a special video today. This video actually has nothing to do about insurance at all. A lot of people know that I make my own beer. I'm a home brewer, and I get a ton of questions from customers and community members in general asking how I do that. So I'm getting ready to make a beer. I figured I'd do a quick video to show you how I do it, give you some ideas of how I go about making my own beer, and come along for the journey. All right guys, first thing I'm doing is getting all my stuff ready. So this is what I call my mash tun. It's actually an old Gatorade jug that's I've turned into beer making equipment. So what I do first is I get everything sanitized. I use a brand called Star San. It's a common thing that brewers use to sanitize equipment, and we get everything fixed up, cleaned up, and we're gonna get ready to brew. All right guys, I've got my water measured out, got my recipe ready to go. I've got that done before time, so I know exactly what numbers I need to hit. So I've got my water measured out, just above 5 gallons. The hope is this is gonna make just under a finished 3 gallons, finished beer, 3 gallons drinkable beer. So next is I'm gonna turn my heat source on. Basically I use an old turkey fryer, is what I use. You don't have to use anything too crazy. But let's see, this is actually, the term for this is called strike water, I believe. Any professional brewers out there, don't make fun of me, but I'm pretty sure this is called strike water. This will be the water that we mix with the grains to start the mash process, which brings the sugars out of the grains, which we can turn into beer later. So the temperature I'm shooting for is 158, there goes my dogs, 158 degrees. So I typically lose about 12 degrees in my beer when I transfer it from the kettle to my mash tank. So I'm gonna shoot for about 170 degrees here. So let's get her cranking. All right, well, my water's heating up in the background. I'm gonna go and get my ingredients ready. So today we're actually making a porter. So a porter is a darker style beer. My hope is, so at our family farm this year, we had a ton of wild blackberries. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this porter, and then a few weeks after the fermentations started, I'm gonna add some blackberries in to see if I can make a blackberry porter. So that's the goal. Not sure how it's gonna turn out, but we're gonna give it a shot. So I'm getting my ingredients ready here. I've got got some grain, got some hops, and some yeast. Pretty basic ingredients for a beer. So I'll show you how those all go in here in just a minute. All right guys, it's time for one of the fun parts. This is called the mash. So we've got our water heated up. I've transferred it to basically this old 10-gallon Gatorade container, bought for 10 bucks off of Facebook Marketplace. So I've got my hot water inside. We're pretty close to our temperature. I'm gonna go ahead and add the grain, and then we'll let it sit for an hour and let the hot water pull the sugars out of that grain. So join me, let's pour some grain in. All right guys, the mash is done. It's been an hour since we added the grains to the water. So now all we gotta do is transfer the water into our boil kettle. And I have a super scientific way of doing that. Basically just turn the nozzle here and let her flow. So once it is finished, we'll go and get the boil started, and I'll show you how we do that in just a few minutes. All right, everybody, we've got what's called the wort now. So the wort is the water that was mixed with the grain that extracted the sugar. So now this is called the wort. This is what we actually turn into the beer. So the next part of the process is the boil. So we've got the heat source kicked on again. We're bringing the wort up to a boil. Once she starts boiling, we're gonna go ahead and add some hops. Stay tuned. All right, she's pretty close to boiling here. We're gonna go ahead and get ready to add our first batch of hops. All right, my first hop addition is 0.25 ounces of Columbus hops. So I'm gonna get those measured out right now. We'll go ahead and add them to the boil. All right, got our hops measured out. Got them in here, pellet hops. I'm going to dump them into the boil. Second hop addition of 0.5 ounces of Willamette going in now. All right guys, the 60-minute boil is complete. I've got a copper coil in there, and what I'm doing is running cold groundwater through that coil to cool down the wort. So we've got to get it to the right temperature to throw the yeast in. You can't throw the yeast in when the wort is still super hot, or else it'll kill the yeast. So got to get back down to close to 75-ish degrees is what we're shooting for. And once that hits, we'll throw the yeast in. All right, everybody, we're pretty much done. We've got the yeast put into the fermentation bucket. Last thing, I got an airlock right here that we're gonna put on the top of the bucket to keep anything from getting in, and it'll also allow CO2 to get out during the fermentation process. So we're good there. I'm gonna take a quick sample to get our original gravity reading that'll help us determine what the alcohol volume is of the beer when it's finished. So we're good to go. Stay tuned for another video. I'll show you how we add the blackberries, and we can also do a taste testing of this too. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.